Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's edition of the Squatchable Podcast, where we take a look at the week in Bigfoot news. Phil will not be joining us this week or next week as he is on vacation in Mexico. We wish him all the best. Joining me, as always, is Chris York from the 40 and Slip. Chris, how are you?
Another fine week, Richard.
Another fine week in God's Bigfoot country.
That's right.
Indeed. And if you enjoy the 40 and Slip or Power Breakdown, you may enjoy the badly drawn misadventures of two Bigfoot. So head on over to Facebook Bigfooting with Keith and Colin for their funny adventures. Without further ado, I am your host, Richard Allen, and let's just jump into it. Our first story comes from Bigfoot Evidence. It is about yet another Bigfoot conference.
Another one?
Another one. May 31st through June the 2nd, 2019. And that's when the Pennsylvania Bigfoot camping adventure will take place. Drive your RV to the festival. Of course, you'll also find motels, hotels, and bed and breakfasts in the area that provide a comfortable place to sleep at night. The 3-day weekend will feature a selection of guest speakers, including Stan Gordon, Rosemary Ellen Gooley, and Dr. Brian D. Parsons. And check out such guest celebrities as Cliff Barackman, Bill Brock, and award-winning Bigfoot researcher Stacy Brown. Don't forget to stop by the booths of the special guests Jimmy and Diane Trick from Goosebumps Paranormal Investigators and the Paranormal Miners. There will be night hikes, Bigfoot films, games, and a big bonfire. What do you think of that, Chris?
I think if you wanted to go all year long from Bigfoot conference to Bigfoot conference and or camping adventures, you could all year.
Oh, yeah, long.
If this is your thing, let me tell you what, folks. You can just do it all year. Just go from conference to conference because they're out there.
Just be a Bigfoot conference groupie, like a trip.
Yeah, like following the dead.
Yeah,
I'm down.
Oh, we should get a VW bus, mini bus, and get to that. That'd be fun.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. All right, so moving on from yet another Bigfoot conference, we have a new breakdown from Tridiver. It is 3 minutes and 30 seconds long. It is called Bigfoot Sighting in the Adirondacks.
Adirondacks?
Adirondacks. Yep, that's the one.
Yeah.
I couldn't pronounce that.
I couldn't tell.
I know, I carried it so well.
You did.
Yeah, I did. He starts the video. You see the Bigfoot video, and I wasn't very convinced, let me tell you. It looked like a costume. And Tridiver himself, he spends about 2 minutes titivating, but he comes out and says, yeah, it's a hoax. He reckons it's a guy wearing a hoodie and a mask. Both Bigfoot Tony and our friend Power Breakdown both agree with him on that, he says. So, Chris, what are your thoughts on that breakdown?
Well, I watched the video right before we went live.
Yeah.
And my first thought was, it looks like Luke Skywalker on Planet Hoth. Or Han Solo with that furry thing around the head, and like that's the first thing I thought of. It totally looks like a person in a hoodie. The point on the head is actually angled backwards, so it's either them or it's an Anunnaki with a hoodie on.
It does not look good. It's not even a good hoax. It's like a Saturday night special of a hoax.
Well, the problem that I have with it too is the movement. It's so herky-jerky. When you watch it, it's very, I don't know, it's very not fluid movement. So that's my thoughts on it.
I agree completely. It just doesn't look like a Bigfoot at all.
Excuse me. Ooh.
Right. Well, moving on then to our next story. We have Ron Moorhead did a small interview for the PT Leader. He recounted his encounters with Sasquatch to an audience at the Olympic Trading Post in Chimacum on March the 2nd, occasionally playing recordings of what he believes to be Bigfoot calls. I like that wording, what they believe, because they're not saying that they agree with them. They're just saying what the person believes. I'm a fan of that. Debbie Goat, owner of the Olympic Trading Post, agreed to host Moorhead for a talk in which he could promote his books on Bigfoot and his audio recordings of his alleged encounters with the creature. Zach Royer, who owns Zach of All Trades in Port Hadlock and a certified field investigator for the Mutual UFO Network, introduced Goats and Moorhead. We all kind of travel in the same circles, Royer said with a laugh. Such circles were outside of Moorhead's sphere before a family friend returned from a trip from the Sierra Nevada mountain range in 1971 with claims that his band of hunters had encountered an animal very different from the prey they'd had in mind. Moorhead went to the High Sierra with his friend not just once, but enough times to record sounds and spot huge tracks, and their excursions generated enough curiosity for some university scientists to tag along. Moorhead's increasingly esoteric theories on what could mean led him to follow up his 2012 book, Voices in the Wilderness, with The Quantum Bigfoot in 2017. Moorhead theorizes that Sasquatch could be capable of changing its vibrational frequency, and his travels around the world to sites as far removed as Russia and South America have led him to consider that Sasquatch might be the source of not only Native American legends, but other cultures' myths as well. What do you think about that, Chris?
As far as like Bigfoot being an interdimensional creature, I think the jury is very much still out on that. I tend to believe that if in fact it is out there, which I'm very hopeful. I don't really have a definitive answer on that. I've always had an interest in it and wanted somebody to find something definitive. But these types of speculations I have an extreme problem with. And I mean, I get people are, grasping, they're reaching, but when it comes to this type of thing, to give it like some type of supernatural, or even explaining it in a scientific way, it can change its vibrational frequency. Yes, there are spiritualists who have been talking about that kind of thing for ages. But to associate that with Bigfoot, I don't see the connection. I really don't.
Well, people go years without seeing one. Some researchers, I think it was Grover Krantz, who spent years in the wilderness, never actually saw one. People get desperate and they start making things up in their head. Things.
And my hat's off to the people that actually get out there and do it.
Yes.
But I don't know that these explanations are the proper explanations. And I think a lot of times they do more harm than good.
Yeah,
but that's just my own. But that's just my only opinion. I know there are a lot of people out there that believe in that sort of thing. So, if that's your like the Bigfoot conferences, if that's your jam away.
Yeah, we're not judging anyone here. If you have fun doing it, that's all that matters. And we move on to our next story.
No, we'll save that for my show.
The Legend of Boggy Creek. We've all seen a Legend of Boggy Creek.
Boggy Creek?
Yeah, I just tripped over my own tongue there. One day, Chris, we'll get through one of these shows with no graphical errors and no tongue-tied moments. It'll happen.
One of these days, we'll have a polished news program.
People will go, wow, Richard and Chris, they're so professional.
But that Phil guy.
Some say. Well, The Legend of Boggy Creek. We've all seen that. You can't say that you're interested in Bigfoot and not have seen The Legend of Boggy Creek. Well, it's been remastered, I should say, to 4K, which is the current best video format at the moment. Paul Pamela Pierce Barcelou, daughter of the independent film pioneer Charles B. Pierce, has answered generations of fans and gained sole copyright to her father's 1972 monster hit, The Legend of Boggy Creek. And I almost did it again then. And he has remastered it. The film will premiere once again at the historic Pyro Theater, Texarkana, Texas. Friday, June the 14th, 2019. Public showings will begin at midnight, June 15th, and continue through Sunday, June 16th. This will be The Legend of Boggy Creek's first official release since 1975 and finally restores the motion picture to its proper wide-angle 35mm format to once again captivate audiences and saving the quintessential Bigfoot film. What do you reckon about that, Chris?
I myself did not see The Legend of Boggy Creek until 2013. I think it was when I finally actually watched it. And it is a staple to the Bigfoot. I don't know if you want to call it, lore, legend, whatever. But I mean, I found it to be just very hard to get through. The way it was pieced together, and I can see I wanted to watch it, and I'm glad I watched it. I don't know how people will receive it, being anyone who hasn't seen it before.
Right.
I don't know how well it will be received by people. It's like kind of like going back and watching an old TV show that you used to love. And then going, why did I ever watch this? That sort of thing. But to watch it for what it is, in and of that, it's enjoyable. So
yeah, it's a monster film. Well, it's like a fake documentary, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's it is what it is. I enjoyed it. Definitely one of my favorite Bigfoot films. Not
Mm-hmm.
It's up there, and it's a good film, and I will watch it in 4K clarity. Be nice to see it.
There you go.
There you go. And our final story of the night, we go to our fond favorite, the sun.
They're our favorite?
They are our favorite.
I didn't realize that.
For news, well, definitely for Bigfoot related news, the sun never lets you down. It's dramatic new footage of a Bigfoot prowling through the Canadian forest. The grainy clip appears to capture the mythical beast, also called Sasquatch, lurking between two trees just yards from the shocked onlookers. The family who filmed the footage had been out for a walk in the wilderness when they caught sight of what appeared to be the mysterious Bigfoot. The clip, filmed on January 5th, was titled Remarkable Footage Shows a Huge Bigfoot Walking Through the Canadian Wilderness. One viewer wrote, "You would be ignorant to say this is or isn't a Bigfoot. We discover new species all the time. I need to see to believe myself, but you can't say no." And that's true, you can't prove a negative.
Right.
The footage has been sent to the internet wild with claims that this is final proof that the beast exists. I would have a heart attack if one of them things was looking through my window, one viewer added. And similar footage captured a large man-like creature peeking at tourists from behind a tree. Apparently local authorities are investigating, but there's no definitive evidence either way. Did you read that one?
Yeah, I checked it out. I didn't look so far into it to go watch the video, so I don't have the video as reference. But based on the pictures, I mean, you can't really tell what it is.
No.
I mean, coloration wise, I tend to say bear.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's not a lot for me to really give a definitive answer as to what I think it is. I'd have to look at the video, and I wasn't aware that this one had a video, or else I would have checked it out.
Yeah, it's just 30 seconds. I might, when Phil gets back, send it to him and be like, "Hey, do one of you work your magic?"
Right. Ruin another day for us.
Take the dream and flush it down the toilet, Phil.
Which is what he does.
Which is what he does, indeed. So that'll wrap us up on Bigfoot news this week. Before I forget, though, Matthew Knapp from Bigfoot Crossroads has asked that anyone who's had a Bigfoot sighting to get in touch with him so he can learn about your story for a new YouTube series he's planning. That's Bigfoot Crossroads and Matthew Knapp if you've had a sighting.
Yeah, I tried to reach out to him through Facebook. Let me see if I can find his email real quick. Because I know he made the post about it. And I don't see his. You can email him at bigfootcrossroads@gmail.com. So if you do have a story and you'd like to get it out to Matt, that's bigfootcrossroads@gmail.com, because he is looking for some encounter reports, sighting reports, and he'd be very grateful.
Yep. Well, that about wraps us up for this week. It's good night from me, and it's good night from Chris. Good night.
Good night.